seraphim, cherubim, and other angels in the Bible. Who are the seraphim, cherubim, and other angels? Have you ever stopped to think about the grandeur of the heavenly kingdom? Among the most fascinating figures in the Bible, angels hold a special place. They're not just divine messengers, but incredible beings with unique and profound roles. And the most interesting part? There are different types of angels, like the seraphim, cherubim, and others, who play essential roles in biblical history. Now, if you think all angels are the same, you're in for a surprise. The Bible introduces us to a real spiritual hierarchy in heaven, where each type of angel has a specific function. Some are responsible for endlessly praising God, while others have the mission of protecting, guiding, or even fighting celestial battles. It's as if each one holds a strategic place in the divine plan. And speaking of that, did you know that the seraphim are mentioned only once in the Bible? But don't be fooled by the brevity of the text. In Isaiah 6, they appear around God's throne, singing, "Holy, holy, holy," in a breathtaking scene. Meanwhile, the cherubim are known as guardians of the sacred, appearing from the Garden of Eden to the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle. But what makes these angels so unique? Is there a greater hierarchy in heaven? And where do names like Gabriel and Michael, who play such important roles, fit in? We'll explore these questions throughout the video. What's important to understand is that angels aren't just part of Christian imagination. They carry profound messages about God's holiness, purpose, and power. So, get ready to dive into this fascinating topic. Let's begin with the seraphim, those fiery angels surrounding the Creator's throne, representing purity and heavenly worship. What does the Bible say about the seraphim? The seraphim are undoubtedly impressive figures. Their only direct mention appears in the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, but the impact of his vision is so grand that it shapes all biblical theology about these beings. Imagine this. Isaiah, a prophet filled with awe, suddenly finds himself before God's throne, surrounded by seraphim proclaiming, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty." Can you feel the weight of this moment? These angels are described as having 6 wings, 2 for flying, 2 for covering their faces, and 2 for covering their feet. This isn't random. Every detail reflects humility and reverence before God's incomparable glory. Even as celestial beings, they acknowledge the Creator's majesty and cover themselves as a sign of respect. This attitude teaches us a lot about our relationship with God, doesn't it? But the seraphim aren't just there to decorate heaven. They have a clear role: to proclaim God's holiness continuously. The repetition of "holy" 3 times isn't accidental. In Hebrew, it emphasizes absolute perfection. Additionally, they act as instruments of purification. Remember, when one of the seraphim touches Isaiah's lips with a burning coal? This symbolizes the cleansing of sin and preparation for a prophetic calling. Now, think about it. Why did Isaiah have such a specific vision? Perhaps it was to remind us that, even in our smallness, God invites us to participate in His plan. Just as Isaiah was purified and sent, we are also called to approach Him with reverence and willingness. But the seraphim aren't alone in the heavenly kingdom. Other angels play equally significant roles. Let's now talk about the cherubim, who are not only guardians of the sacred but also have an appearance so striking it's almost intimidating. The cherubim, guardians of the throne and the sacred. If the seraphim are associated with praise and purification, the cherubim are the guardians of the sacred. From the expulsion of Adam and Eve from Eden, these angels appear as protectors of all that is holy and untouchable. In Genesis 3 verse 24, they are described as guarding the way to the tree of life with a flaming sword. Can you imagine the scene? The cherubim also have a special connection to God's throne. In the book of Ezekiel, chapters 1 and 10, they are described as having 4 faces, of a man, lion, ox, and eagle, and bodies full of eyes, symbolizing strength, wisdom, and vigilance. It's a symbolic portrait, but it sends a clear message. God is surrounded by beings that reflect His glory and perfection. Additionally, they appear in the tabernacle and Solomon's temple. Do you remember the mercy seat, the lid of the Ark of the Covenant? The cherubim are carved there, with their wings stretched over the Arkansas. They represent God's presence among his people, a constant reminder that the sacred must be approached with respect and reverence. But the cherubim aren't just imposing figures. They teach us something very practical. God's holiness cannot be treated lightly. In a world that often trivializes the sacred, the cherubim remind us that the heavenly kingdom is surrounded by order, respect, and purpose. Speaking of purpose, other angels in the Bible also have well-defined roles. Let's get to know figures like Michael and Gabriel, who appear in crucial moments of biblical history. Before we continue, leave your like and subscribe to the channel to be blessed with more videos to inspire your life. Other angels in the Bible: Gabriel, Michael, and the role of messengers. If the cherubim and seraphim are tied to holiness and protection, Gabriel and Michael bring a more practical aspect of angelic work. These two angels are named in the Bible and appear at pivotal moments. Let's start with Gabriel, the messenger. Gabriel is known for his mission to deliver divine messages. In Daniel 9, he appears to explain visions to the prophet. But his most famous moment is the announcement to Mary in Luke 1. Imagine the impact of that visit. You will give birth to a son, and you shall call his name Jesus. Gabriel reminds us that angels not only serve God but also communicate his plans to humanity. Michael, on the other hand, has a more warrior-like role. He is described as the leader of the heavenly hosts, a true general in the celestial kingdom. In Revelation 12, Michael battles the dragon, defeating it and casting it down to earth. His figure symbolizes spiritual protection and victory, especially in times of conflict. Here's a fun fact. These angels show us that God cares about both spiritual battles and personal care. While Michael fights for God's people, Gabriel brings messages that comfort, instruct, and transform lives. It's as if each angel has a specialty, but all work harmoniously within God's purpose. But is there a defined order among these celestial beings? Is there truly a spiritual hierarchy? Let's explore this in the next section. The angelic hierarchy. Is there an order among angels? Have you ever wondered if there's an organizational chart in the heavenly kingdom? The Bible gives us hints that there is indeed a spiritual hierarchy among angels, with different roles and functions. The seraphim, cherubim, archangels like Michael and Gabriel, and other angels mentioned in the Bible seem to form a well-structured order. But what does this mean? First, the seraphim are among the highest in this hierarchy. Their proximity to God's throne reflects their unique position as eternal worshipers proclaiming the Creator's holiness. They show us that worship is one of the most important aspects of the heavenly kingdom, something that should also be a priority in our daily lives. How are you cultivating worship in your own life? Beneath them, we find the cherubim, guardians of the throne and the sacred. They are mentioned from Genesis protecting Eden to Exodus in the tabernacle, showing their role in preserving what is holy. The hierarchy here makes it clear that God's kingdom isn't chaotic. Every angel has their position and responsibility. This teaches us something valuable. God is a God of order, not confusion. The archangels, like Michael, lead spiritual battles. They are the warriors who defend God's people against the forces of evil. In Revelation 12, we see Michael leading the victory over Satan and his demons. This leadership role in spiritual warfare is inspiring. And you know what? It reminds us that we, too, are involved in this battle, but with the assurance that God is our protector. Finally, there are the ordinary angels, so to speak. They are the messengers, protectors, and executors of God's will on earth. They appear in stories like Lot's in Genesis, helping save his family, and in Psalm 91, where we see that angels guard those who trust in God. Though less impressive than the seraphim or cherubim, these angels perform essential functions in the heavenly kingdom. This celestial structure shows us that God works in an organized and intentional way, both in heaven and on earth. Now, you might be wondering, how do these angels interact with us? Do they really protect, guide, and fight for us? Let's explore this fascinating relationship next. The relationship between angels and humans, protectors, guides, and warriors. Angels aren't just distant figures in the heavenly kingdom. They have a direct connection with us, humans. The Bible is full of moments where angels appear to protect, guide, or even fight for those who are faithful to God. But how does this happen in practice? First, angels are protectors. One of the most well-known verses about this is Psalm 91 verse 11, which says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Imagine having angels assigned specifically to care for you. This promise is a powerful reminder that God never leaves us unprotected, even during difficult times. In addition to protecting, angels also guide. Remember the story of Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts 8? An angel of the Lord appears to Philip and directs him to meet the eunuch and share the gospel. This example shows us that angels can be used to guide us during crucial moments. While we may not see them physically, they continue to act, following God's commands. And, of course, angels are also spiritual warriors. In Daniel 10, we read about an angel who faced resistance from evil forces for 21 days until Michael, the archangel, came to help. This gives us a glimpse of the unseen spiritual battles that directly impact our lives. Can you imagine the level of care and protection God provides for each one of us? Now, do angels have limits? Absolutely. They are powerful but not independent. They act under God's direct orders, and everything they do serves His divine purpose. This teaches us an essential truth. Our ultimate security doesn't lie in the angels themselves, but in the God who sends them. Finally, this relationship between angels and humans demonstrates God's love. He uses these celestial beings to protect and guide us, showing that even in a world full of dangers, we are never alone. And as we reflect on this, a natural question arises: what do angels reveal about God's own character? Let's explore this in the next section. What do angels teach us about God and His glory? Angels, whether seraphim, cherubim, or other messengers, are more than fascinating beings. They are reflections of God's own character. Each one, with their unique roles and traits, points us toward the majesty, holiness, and love of the Creator. The seraphim, with their endless praise, remind us of God's absolute holiness. They proclaim that He is holy, 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 a God beyond comparison and worthy of all worship. If the seraphim never tire of praising, are we dedicating enough time to recognize God's greatness in our daily lives? The cherubim, on the other hand, emphasize the importance of treating the sacred with reverence. As they guard Eden and God's throne, they show us that what is holy must never be trivialized. This prompts reflection. Are we treating God's gifts, prayer, scripture, and fellowship, with the respect they deserve? Meanwhile, the messengers like Gabriel teach us about God's closeness. They demonstrate that the Creator of the universe cares enough to send specific messages to guide and comfort us. This serves as a reminder that God is always near, ready to lead us. And what about warriors like Michael? They inspire us to trust in God's power during life's battles. Even in the most intense spiritual conflicts, we know that God is fighting for us and that ultimate victory belongs to Him. In the end, angels don't draw attention to themselves. They point us toward the God they serve. They invite us to look upward and recognize the Creator's glory. And you, have you ever stopped to consider how the presence of angels reveals the greatness of God? This exploration of the seraphim, cherubim, and other angels shows us more than just the roles of these celestial beings. It deepens our understanding of God's holiness, His love for us, and His intricate design for creation. Let's continue seeking Him, inspired by the awe-inspiring truths these angels represent. If this video has inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be curious about these incredible heavenly beings. Let's keep exploring God's Word together.